So in December of 2016, Vancouver City Council unanimously, I should say that, some motions are not unanimously passed. So I'm very proud to say that it was unanimously passed, a motion that was brought forward by Councillor Elizabeth Ball to recognize and develop culture as a fourth pillar of sustainability. The three pillars of sustainability that we have right now are currently economic development, environmental development, and social development. In a city as culturally rich as Vancouver, where we welcome and encourage people to share, celebrate, learn, and participate in culture in every way, taking this formal step is very important, and that's one of the reasons the motion was brought forward. And we've asked our staff to investigate that and bring that back to council to make sure that we are following other cities and also making sure that on the world stage that we're committing to making culture a fourth pillar of sustainability.
We're going to quickly go over this model, which shows different roles of culture in sustainable development. So the first model, the one on the left, is identified as culture in sustainable development. This identifies culture's role as one of the four pillars of sustainable development, and we understand this to mean that culture acts as a foundational force within our society, and so is protected by the government by policies like the protection of heritage sites in Vancouver, for example. The second model, culture for sustainability, shows culture as being the pathway by which we reach the other three pillars of sustainable development. The model says that culture is the factor that allows us to reach sustainability in these other areas. Lastly, the third model, culture as sustainability, shows that culture can be a way of being, that it is not simply one of the four pillars of sustainable development, but that it's something that can permeate every area of our lives. We just want to point out that none of these models are necessarily better than the others. They are just visual representations of different roles culture can play in our society.
A lot of the things we do are culture in some way, whether they're yoga classes or whatever. They're all what people decide or design to fit their lifestyle. And that's, I guess, what we're trying to attain within the community. The Vancouver Foundation spent a lot of money a few years ago and found out that a lot of people in Vancouver don't even know their neighbors. And this is one of the barriers we have to break down. If we're going to become sustainable, we have to be able to integrate and communicate and help each other. We're not islands unto ourselves.
Contemporary Art Gallery is an independent, public-run, not-for-profit contemporary art gallery. It's a hub, a community hub. The mandate of the Contemporary Art Gallery is to bring the best of international contemporary artists to Vancouver, to British Columbia, and to bring the best of British Columbia, Canadian artists out internationally into the world. Yeah, the Burrard Marina Field Art Studio, it's an off-site artist residency space, a community hub. And the space itself echoes the founding origins of the Contemporary Art Gallery, where we were not just an exhibiting gallery, but also a support network for artists. So over the last, since 2013, we've had about 13 artists, international artists and local artists, come through the space, live in the space, and make return visits to Vancouver and to the space and work on different projects, specifically with working with community.
One of the biggest things before we can start doing anything is that art delivers compassion. And when we have compassion, we feel things for one another. And when we feel things for one another, we connect. And it's through those connections that things flourish. And that's what art does, and that's why it's so important that we embrace it. That, for me, it's my way of being. It's how I can share who I am and my identity with all of you. And I know that each one of us individually has that in themselves. And now if we put art in there and you express that to me, then I know you, and then we connect. And that's why, this is so important to me.